What's up, folks? HitPointsGaming here with our podcast. We're going to be talking about the Pax Unplugged Expo. Chris, how you doing?
Pretty good. I had a good time. Doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. Corey, how you doing?
I'm doing excellent, Doug. I can't wait to hang out with you this weekend, and I'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, man, that's going to be so much fun. So these two fellas and our buddy James went to PAX Unplugged. Unfortunately, I was away at the time, so I really wasn't able to go. And we're going to be talking about what it is that they liked, disliked, saw, and overall impressions of HitPointsGaming going out and checking out all these board games. But first, as always, video games, board games, what we've been up to recently. Me personally, I was up to Destiny and am no longer up to Destiny because they released a 35... Oh, okay. So the console game's been out longer, right? It's been out like 2 months. But the PC version was out for less than a month. All of a sudden, I see that I can buy a $35 DLC to raise my level cap by 5. And I'm like, you know what? Nah, no thanks. I got the game for free with my graphics card. I didn't really plan on spending any money on it unless I super loved it, which I kind of do. And it's hard to not want to keep going. But on the other hand, I'm like, you know what? I'm not dropping that money that fast. I got other stuff that I can currently play. Lots of new VR stuff I got that I'm trying to enjoy the best I can when I have a chance. So that's pretty much it. I've been playing VR games with Matt, some Mass Effect Andromeda. I'm kind of slowly chugging through that. And that's really been it. Chris, what about you?
I'm still into Destiny and looking forward to December 5th to play the expansion. It has died off a little bit. Like you said, it's just kind of... I bought the killer pack, so it has everything in it, all the DLC and everything. I've been looking forward to playing Destiny on PC for years.
Right.
So I jumped right into it. I had no hesitation. However, I wish I did hesitate because you're not playing anymore. Kev doesn't really play too much, so I don't really have too many people to play with. So it's a little disappointing.
What makes it tough is it's like, okay, the campaign's done. I did the public events and stuff. You do like the weekly challenges and the daily stuff. And I just slowly see my light level creeping up. It's like, okay, right. I'm at 250. Now I'm at 253. And then I'm at 256. But I'm like getting the same items, just higher level, 256. And then I'm getting yellows everywhere. I'm like, is this like before finding the first exotic weapon that you ever found was like, whoa, oh my God. I can't believe I got a yellow one. I've got like 9 or 10 of them already. It's just sitting in the bank. Nothing's being used. And they're lower light level than the stuff that I've already got. You know what I mean? And I know you can upgrade them too with stones.
Right,
but
which is cool. But I mean, like, you also have to remember, with what you said, you can only wear one exotic item.
Yeah, it's a pain because like, oh man, I got this great gun, but I got this other great gun. Well, now my other one's completely worthless.
That's my problem. I mean, I want to feel gear. I want to feel awesome, and
right.
When I can only wear one thing at a time, it kind of sucks.
It really is detrimental to the way you want to make your character look because all the yellow gear looks great, the helmets,
awesome.
But it's like, oh, I have to just choose the arms to look cool, and the rest of my guy looks like a bum.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I will say off the bat that it's probably the best looking game I've ever seen in my entire life. And the actual shooting and gun mechanics are easily the best for a first person shooter. Like, it feels so punchy when you hit somebody with a headshot with like a scout rifle. It feels fantastic, but as much as I can praise it, its content value was just so short. I know it's not a real MMO; it's like a mini MMO, but that lifespan, like why does that have less content than a single player game?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like why am I going through Dark Souls with just 2 players and it's taking me so many hours to get through it and get all the good stuff and beat it, and then Destiny I'm done with and. Like it seems so fast. I'm having the Division problem, right? Like,
okay.
The Division lasted like a little bit longer at least.
But have you done the raid? Have you done everything in the game yet?
Oh no, of course not. No.
There you go. So there is still content there because up until you hit that soft cap of 265, I got the feeling of every time I jumped in, I was increasing my character. I was actually getting something.
Me too.
And those exotics that you found, to your point, you can just upgrade them down the road. Right. It's super easy to upgrade. So I think that the way they made the formula is actually beneficial for people that didn't have the full amount of time to invest into the game.
Okay.
Which is helpful I think the players like us right now. It's just getting that core of 3 to 6 people to, hey, you want to do the Nightfall this week, or hey, do you want to do the raid this week? And unless you have that core 6 people, I don't care what game out there, it's just not that good. Right. Unless you get those 6 players, then you're going to be invested,
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That I could definitely agree with that. Chris, what else you been playing? Anything else?
On the mobile platform, I've been playing that South Park Phone Destroyer. It's like a PvP kind of game. It's fun, but it really is one of those pay to win kind of deal, I feel. So I'm still playing it, but not as much as I guess everyone else is. I'm still getting my butt handed to me, but it's still kind of fun every once in a while. It's got a lot of like boards for to play against the AI, so it's kind of fun. That's about it.
Okay, Corey, what about you?
I guess more on the board game front to start. Andrea and I started a Pandemic Legacy Season 2. I think we have, after tonight, we'll have 4 episodes out at this point. We've done 6 in total. And again, this is a legacy style type game. You guys are both aware of that style. But in this sense, you're trying to save the world from an outbreak that actually occurred 70 years ago in the first season. And in this season, you're just trying to get everything, I guess, back online with supplies. And we are having a blast playing.
That's great.
It's good because we're actually taping this one. We're kind of spacing out because we blew through the first season in a week. We played it so much. This one, because we're taping them, it spaces that out. So we're having more fun doing that. Last weekend, we got together as a big group and played Talisman. It's been a few years since we played that, so we had a good time doing that. And I alluded to it earlier, but we are planning to have our first Twilight Imperium 4th edition game this coming weekend, and I am psyched about it.
Yeah, that sounds really, really fun. It does. So hopefully everything works out where I can be there. I may be able to get a babysitter because
babysitter is not needed, of course.
Right. My wife is going to Israel for work.
Whoa.
I think she leaves Friday. So you let me know what day we're going to play, and I'll make it happen. I'm not missing it. I'm not missing it. Especially if everybody's already confirmed, I'm not missing it.
I will have the last 2 confirmations tomorrow, so I will let you know.
Tell me how you thought about, or what you thought about your initial impressions of PAX Unplugged.
I actually thought it was what I expected. It was the portion of PAX East, the board game section, just in another location. No video games or anything. And I enjoy that because when I go to PAX, I kind of just walk around the board game section. I look for games that are coming out. I look to see who's there, if there's anything that I want to try. And we actually had a few chances to try some games. Now, it's a little different than going to a video game convention because you could just walk up to a controller, play a game for a few minutes, like in the indie section, and move on. Well, board games, it's a little different. And I knew going in what to expect because a majority of the time when we get together for board games, I put in all that work ahead of time to learn the game, to figure out the best way to teach it, right? So I know what's involved. So you can't just walk up to a table and be like, oh, what's this game about? Tell me about it. It's going to take 20, 25 minutes to teach you a game, right? So there's only so many demos that you can play hands-on in a board game convention. I can kind of summarize the game to you, but you can't physically play it. Whereas in PAX East, you can just walk up to a console. I don't need anyone around me. I can press buttons and I can figure the game out. And if I don't like it in 2 minutes, I can walk away. That's not what this is. So I knew that going in. I just don't know if everyone in our group was aware of that. So I got a lot out of PAX Unplugged. I got to see the games there. There was a few that are on my checklist that I wanted to see visually just because of the components. Some things that I've kickstarted before that I have not received yet. I saw there live, which is awesome. I'm very excited about it. And there was 1 or 2 games that I actually got to sit down and play. And I thought that was great to try out. And one last thing, there's also games that I've always been interested in playing, but I have not pulled the trigger to buy it because I how many times do we get to play the same game over and over? So am I going to drop $60 on a game that I'm interested in? I want to play it. I want to know about it. We actually got to play it there. Now I don't have to buy it, but I can talk about the mechanics behind the game. I can refer to it in future reviews or anything else like that. So for me, I got a lot out of PAX Unplugged just for that reason alone. And I look forward to doing that again next year.
That's awesome, man. I'm real glad that you definitely touched on the point of being able to sit down and play games, and it takes a little bit longer to play and get used to a board game. I would say when you guys showed me Catan, even, what did that take? Almost like a half hour before we got to start.
Mm-hmm.
And then we started, and there's still more to learn.
Right.
So I think it is really good to be able to demo something that you're interested in, especially if you know it's going to be there. It's one thing to go there and just jump on a random game because you like the colors of it and have no idea what it is. But if you've been eyeing a game a while, it's like, oh man, I get to go try these games out to see if I want to, drop some coin on it and really get into it. Chris, how'd you feel about PAX Unplugged overall?
I thought it was pretty good. It's in Philly, so we're in Jersey, so it's about an hour away for us. The parking situation was great. There's a lot of places to park. It was a little expensive. It was like $30, for 12 hours. Yeah. We only went for the day. Like Corey said, thank goodness we only went for a day. I am glad we didn't stay a whole weekend there. So that was really a good experience. We're used to going to PAX East and parking in a garage and maybe walking a few blocks. This was a block away where we stayed, and there was a lot of parking. But it was the convention's first year, so I'm guessing attendance wasn't. It's definitely not anywhere near another convention. PAX convention. Getting it was really good. The convention hall was huge. We have that video out that kind of shows us walking around the convention floor playing a couple of games. Just like Corey said, it was a good experience, and I'd like to go back next year. However, it is a different experience. Just like he said, man, it stole all the words out of my mouth. Like you can't watch someone else play a board game unless you know the board game. Like we were going there to experience new games, learn some new games, not pay $100 for a board game and see what it's about, kind of deal.
Right.
So like you have to sit down and wait in line. We played that crazy Ludwig's Castle or Ludwig's Palace.
Okay.
Yep.
We played that for 45 minutes.
Wow.
Which was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. The guy was explaining the rules to us, how to play. We played a nice session, a full session, the four of us. And while that was awesome, that probably wasn't as awesome for someone waiting behind us to try the game. The 45 minutes is a real long time.
I think we need like a ticket system maybe.
Yeah, come back. The other game we played with Flamme Rouge, which we'll get into too, right, I guess now, is we kept going back and forth. Cord really wanted to play it, so we kept going back, and he was like, oh, come back in 20 minutes. Come back in 20 minutes. So, we finally got there when he was like, all right, they're just finishing, we'll play now. So, yeah, a ticket system would be cool. A lot of people on the forums are complaining, I wish they would have a demo of this game. Well, yeah, rightfully so. I think they should, but some games you can't make a demo of. If we would have played that Palace game as a demo, like a shorter version of it, we might not have fully understood the mechanics, the rules, like how the game actually played out. So it's kind of hard to, like in a video game, you can say, oh, here's our level, and the demo is 6 minutes. With a board game, you might not be able to experience everything in 6 minutes, Yeah,
for real.
So it's hard to have a demo, but you don't want to have people waiting around forever to play a game, and that's what it is with board games. And I liked it. I wish they had a first look section, which we couldn't find at first because it was small, which was supposed to be like the first time like new games or something, right?
Yeah, that's what it made out to be. But Chris, you hit a point. The floor plan in like the brochure or the map was different than the floor plan of the hotel. So it would be like, oh, this is in room A. Okay, well, let me go to room A. But it's really marked as room C in the hotel. I thought that was very confusing. That was a big negative. So we couldn't find out if we were in the right section or not. And then we were just kind of lost. Right, Chris?
Yeah, like you're right. Like the building itself was Hall A, but PAX labeled it as C. So like we're looking at our back of our badge for this map, and we couldn't find this room, but yet it's not a room. It's just the expo hall, a part of that. So we were really confused. And once we figured it out, yeah, it was easy. But like at first, we were like, we don't know where we are. But you go ahead.
Well, what I was gonna say is, what they did when I was at PAX East, me, Fran, and Matt all sat down with these championship mahjong players, and they basically showed you how to play mahjong. It was something that you see in all these. I'm a huge kung fu movie buff, so something you see in a lot of Asian films, especially when it takes place in martial arts eras, is mahjong. So we're like, oh man, this is really cool. Like, we'll sit down. Like, I never played it. I wonder how it's actually played. Not gonna go into it, but it is absolutely ridiculous. And what they did was we went up there, we basically got in queue, and they text me when I was up. They were like, what's your phone number? What's your phone number? They texted me. I had 10 minutes to get over there, so we didn't wander too far, and that's the respectable thing to do in any case. So we didn't wander too far. We got the text. We went over, and then they were finishing up the other game. So, the table's not sitting there empty, but then you wait your 5 minutes and you hopped on. That's perfect. Can you expect everyone to do that? Well, maybe it should be a standard that everyone has some system. Well, I mean, you can't make it a standard, but people who are really trying to show off their game should really have some system in order to keep people comfortable and going back. And that also stops people from queuing up to a bunch of games and thinking they're going to do it that way. It's like, nah, man, you got to kind of pick what you want to do and be there. Because if you went around and queued up to a bunch of games, you're sitting down now for a half an hour, 45 minutes, your phone's going off. It's like, now you're just wasting everyone's time. Because they're technically waiting for you. So now the game creator, I don't know if we would call them, are they developers for board games? Is that what we call them? I guess we'll say the creator.
I would say so.
Yeah. So I guess the developer, the designers would be wasting their time texting a bunch of people who aren't going to show. There's no real easy way to solve that, but I suppose doing it better could make it a better experience for everyone who attends. Older, younger, doesn't matter who you are. If you're a casual game player, people really just don't want to sit around for too long. Do you guys have any highlights of games that you are sure you want to get, or even games that you just thought looked cool, maybe didn't play, just some notable stuff? Chris, we'll start with you.
We played a lot of stuff. We didn't play a lot of stuff, but we played a good amount of things. We did walk around the show floor, maybe about 45 minutes an hour, just kind of aimlessly walking around, seeing what was there. And the show floor wasn't huge, it's kind of hard because the whole floor is huge, but where the designers or the vendors wasn't that big. I felt it was big enough. It could have been bigger, but I don't know. It was good enough for us, I guess.
Okay.
But there was a couple games we saw. There was that Clack game that Kev played. I have a video of him. It's kind of like a magnetic reverse air hockey. Like you're moving the magnet underneath the table to move your player to like bounce a ball into like your opponent's area. And there's other ways to score. It was kind of neat. Kev said it was pretty cool, and Kev doesn't really like. I think Kev's a hard audience, and he enjoyed it, so that kind of gets a big thumbs up.
Yeah.
And we played another one, that Flamme Rouge, which is like a bike racing game. It's kind of like Formula D, and we really like that. And James liked it so much that he actually bought a copy and brought it home. So
wow.
I think that's pretty good.
Well, one thing that I didn't even put this into perspective. I'm thinking everything is D&D or like really involved games, but I didn't even think of stuff like Clack, where it's just like a tactile experience, like Crossfire or Weapons and Warrior, stuff like that. So I would think that there'd probably be some interesting stuff out there with that kind of gameplay. Even like technically like Connect 4 is like a board game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, that kind of stuff, pieces and puzzles. Corey, what about you? Oh, no, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, yeah, no, that's cool. And forums, people were saying they were having problems with finding, like RPG games. And I really didn't think of PAX Unplugged as like a D&D, a place to go play D&D.
Okay.
I don't know if that's something different, but I really didn't expect that to be, and I didn't really see any of it. Maybe that's what people were complaining of. They were wanting to go play D&D, and they weren't able to.
But you could see how that might be someone's, like I just said it. You know what I mean? That could totally be someone's mindset of, only because of the games that that our group of friends normally plays when we get together are usually pretty involved. So if that's what somebody does on a regular basis, and they're like Pax Unplugged for board games, we play these games when really you could have went there and playing Candyland, Monopoly, or whatever. So I guess you kind of have to have an open mind. You know, I don't expect PAX to be all fighting games, but I guess you got to have an open mind for that kind of thing. Corey, do you have any games that you really want to talk about?
Chris mentioned the Palace of Madkin Ludwig. That is something that I was kind of on the fence of when I saw that it was announced, and which is the reason why I wanted to play it. It's a game that Andrea and I must have played 40 times right now. It's something that we take when we go away on vacation, and we play like every other night. So they were making kind of it's kind of a sequel, but it's more co-op version, which is why I wanted to get my hands on it to try, to see how different it was. And it will be something that I definitely will be picking up, because we just like the original, and I think this is a good twist. I did see Fog of Love there. It's a Kickstarter game that I backed a while ago that I should be receiving soon. It's more of like it's kind of like a relationship game. Something that I guess you play like husband and wife or boyfriend and girlfriend. And I just was very intrigued when I heard about the game. I wanted to sit down and try it while I was there. But it's a tough thing when you're with a group, because you know, there's only 2 people that can play the game. So it's like, well, I can jump in and play this and then have other 6 people just kind of wander around. Or, you know, like I kept going back to Flame Rouge to find out when we could play. And everyone kept looking at me like, well, why are you going back here? Well, you have to put your time in if you want to play something, or else you're just going to walk around aimlessly, which we did for a while. So those are the 2 games that I was definitely interested in. I'm glad I got to see them. Another one was Rising Sun, I believe is the name. It's from Cool Mini or Not. I got to see just the board and people playing it and the miniatures, and I was thrilled. Didn't need to play the game. I know it's going to be coming in a few months, but just to see the actual miniatures sculpted in person, you know, and that kind of sounds silly, like, oh, cool, I got to see the pieces, but it's like seeing the graphics in a video game. Like, oh man, I can't wait to actually get my hands on it and play it, and that's what I got out of that game too. So those were like my top 3 that I saw. The one disappointment that was not there is an upcoming Star Wars miniature game called Legion, and it was showcased in Gen Con, Essen, and I even think at Board Game Geek the week before, and I was expecting, to Chris's point, a demo to be set up. It's kind of like a miniature type game, so think of it as Warhammer, but that's a game where you could demo. Like, here's your army, you didn't have to spend time making it, and you can play through a turn or 2 to see how it works. That's what I was hoping to see there, and it was not. I didn't even get to see the miniatures, so I was a little disappointed from Fantasy Flight. They did have a booth, and they showed like Fallout. Fallout was there. You could try that game out, but I really wasn't that interested in trying that. I really just wanted to see these Star Wars miniatures, but fortunately, that was the only thing that I did not get a chance to see.
That's a shame. That's just like, you know, I saw Hyper Light Drifter in the next 2 or 3 years in PAX. It wasn't there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
you're like, oh, this is like the hype. This is what's going to be there. And it's not. You're like, oh, okay.
They're showing it off in Australia like 4 times a year, and the PAX not there. It sucks.
Right.
It's interesting you brought up the point about seeing the pieces for a game, because for me personally, when I play with you guys, I'm picking my dude off the pieces. Like, I think the characters and the sculpts add a lot. You know, I make stupid voices when we play for characters and stuff, and it's different playing a game like Descent if you just have a little piece that looks like a sorry piece and this is your character. Right. You know what I mean? Versus a dude with his bow and arrow with one leg on top of a lion, and you know you're immediately the most badass dude in the game. Or, you know, you feel like it as the character. You feel like it, just like picking a character in a video game. Like, yo, I'm this guy, and this is how I'm actually gonna play into what my character, or how I feel my character looks like. Yep. I'm gonna play into that maybe a little bit, and it makes the game a little bit more immersive as opposed to maybe just trying to roll to win. I'm like, no, I'm going to take this risk because my dude's an animal. I take the risk and you fail. It's like, whatever.
At least I got my lion still.
Yeah. At least my character looks cool while he's dead. That's how I feel about that. What do you guys feel would be some? I know we talked a little bit about it, but just some general improvements for the convention. Corey, we'll start with you.
Improvements. I kind of, you touched base on it, Doug. I think it would be cool to hand out some tickets to demo. But it can't solely be that. Maybe there could be a fast pass for maybe the first 4 people, or I'm just saying there might be a cool way to do it, but it can't solely be like that because the first 8 people that show up to an hour-long game, well, that's it. And it's like, I can't believe you're already not sold out, but like I can't demo your game because nobody got here. But maybe having like 1 or 2, handouts or maybe like a giveaway. Chris, there were no like raffles or giveaways.
Well, they're smaller companies, this isn't, EA with $40 billion. This is, a couple people who put a game together over the weekend that happened to be really good and have a couple $1,000s,
Yeah.
I wasn't really expecting any swag. There's never, it's really like you and I created a game and put our heart and soul into it and, put a second mortgage on our house. I really think that's a lot of these board game, indie people have, start.
Gotcha. Okay, good point.
That makes sense.
I can't imagine them handing out T-shirts, to their, their $40 million game, Although Rambo did hand out, headbands, but that was about the only swag I really saw.
Well, having a queue system or time slots, I guess that just involves creating or maybe researching your own game and how long are our demos going to be? There's got to be a limit, right? So maybe instead of letting people sit down for 45 minutes to learn all the mechanics, well, you can do what you can do in a half hour. We're here at 11. We're going to sit down. We're going to start at 11:05 after we get to know each other because, you want to talk to the guy maybe a little bit. And he wants to explain who he is and his game and why it's good. And then you play for 25 minutes. And it's like, all right, guys, that's really all the time we have. We have time for the next people. And in that case, you really don't have to stand in line. You can, there's a balance there because people are going to go around and maybe try to sign up for stuff. But hey, it's like anywhere else, right? Like if there's something specific that you wanted to play and you want to 100% make sure you get to do it, maybe you need to be in line at 7:30 when the place opens at 10.
Right.
And
Doug, I think you bring up a really good point that could solve that. So we didn't actually go to any of the big panels where they just had people talk. But if they just had a smaller room, I'm going to use Fallout for instance. I didn't want to wait around to play that game. But if there was a 3:00 session of Fallout in a room, and someone was going to talk through how the game was played, and then 4 people from I'll say the audience went up and played along, I would watch that. Because it's hard to watch people play a game because you can't hear as they're explaining the rules, and if you come in 10 minutes late, you don't know what's going on. But if there was a timetable of like, oh, hey, you want to learn about Fallout, come to this room, and we'll explain the whole thing to you, show the components, and you can see some people demo it, hey, I would be all about that, too. I think that would be some way to improve it.
Right. I think that's actually not a bad idea. Like have maybe a stream going or something where people can look at a screen and watch other people play. That'd be kind of cool. Yep. And you can see all the mechanics. Chris, I don't know if you're getting a phone call or something, but you have a ton of interference coming from your mic. It's like breaking my ear.
Sorry. I have no idea.
But yeah, it's one of those things where in that setting the balance is almost impossible because unless the people at PAX enforce a standard across the show floor, people are going to do it their own way. I had a very similar experience, actually, at PAX East trying to play a game of Thumper, where we go in the line. I only see 8 people in line at Thumper, right? It's a PSVR game. Everybody's going to the VR stuff and queuing up for hours. Doesn't matter what it is. You could go into VR and look at a floating sphere that's black, and people would queue up just to see what it's like. Thumper. I'm in line. Me and Matt are in there. We're gonna try it out. I've been eyeing Thumper for mad long, so I was excited to see that it was there. And they have 2 stations set up. You got somebody on deck playing the 2D version on the screen. Then you got the person who's actually playing is in PSVR playing. We're standing there, and I'm like, yo, like, what's taking them so long? Maybe 25 minutes went by, and nobody moved. And I'm like, Thumper, 25 minutes? Like, what are you even doing in there? Like, you gotta be bad to not be getting past the first level, first actual full level of Thumper. So it's like, man, you gotta. Every other place I went to, like I played Valkyrie on Oculus, 5 minutes.
Yeah, in and out.
5 minutes, and I mean, I waited in line for an hour and a half because I really wanted to try the commercial Rift before I made my decision on buying that or the Vive. And it's like, all right, this is how you play. You're gonna do this and this and blam. You put on the headset, you got about 5 minutes. If you're lucky, the lady at the booth was talking to somebody, so you might have got 10 minutes. You know what I mean? But that's how it's got to be, dude. It's got to be snappy. And the dude just was playing, like, they let him play the whole first level. Now it's not like a song like DDR in Thumper. I don't know if you guys have played it. It's not short. Like, the levels can be, especially if you're not good.
I didn't get to play it because I waited in line for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And then walked away.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
I had the same experience.
So the levels in that game are long, and it's just like they're really letting these dudes play this whole level and just fail an endless amount of times until they get through it. It's like, nah, you guys.
But in board games, how do you do that with, Carcassonne? Can you make Carcassonne 10 minutes long? Maybe, but some other games.
Board games you make like a half hour. Like a half hour is totally reasonable for a board game setting. What were the convention's hours? Like what? 10 to 6 was the show floor, I think it was. So 10 to 6. All right. So
and then it was open, and then you could go play. They had like the LFG area, so you could go look around. You could maybe find other people to play games with. So you weren't just limited to what was on the show floor, which was awesome. Like, you weren't just limited to whatever the vendors had for you to play. You could have bought a game there and then played it later, with some other people.
So the thing about the show floor is, all right, say you have an 8-hour block, that's the show floor. If you gave out hour demos, you're playing one game and then trying to find another. But if you did like a half hour, 25 minutes, I mean, you could totally do your best to queue, and then maybe you'll go sit and watch someone else play a game or sit in. Maybe they'll even have a line or a small area around the table that people can spectate. I think that's smart.
Well, see, they had like this first look area that I don't think was large enough. I think that's where we went and played this game called Ice Cool. It was kind of like a flick 'em up. Yeah, but like you were a penguin or whatever, And it was pretty fun, but like that first look area, I think should have been larger. Okay. Instead of having, there was a lot of tournaments, which I guess is cool. We're not into it, so really can't say, but there was a lot of tournaments. There was a lot of people looking for a group or looking for a game, and then this little bit of first look where new games could be, and this is like my biggest thing is I read a lot on the forums and I kind of tweeted to a couple people, and it was they were looking at PAX Unplugged as a way to play games with other people.
Right, and that's not it.
Myself and the people we went with were not looking for that. We were looking to play games, new games. And I think we're part of a very small percentage of people who play board games who have other people to play games with.
Right.
And a lot of people are saying, I have my significant other to play with, or I have a smaller group of friends, and they were like, we were trying to, there was a huge, so many pages of people trying to play Twilight Imperium on the forums because they were trying to get, like, they don't have anyone to play this game with. You guys are getting together this weekend to play, like MBD, and here they are, they're going to PAX Unplugged for the day to play Twilight Imperium. Like, that's what they were using it as. So for us, at least myself, I don't think that's not my PAX Unplugged. My PAX Unplugged is to go play some new games that we don't own, that Corey doesn't own, Gabe doesn't own, so that they can be awesome and buy them, or we can just hang out and play a new game and say, yeah, that game was fun or not. whereas like, a lot of people wanted to go to play games that they already own but have never played.
Right. And I feel like that's not my reason to go. You know, I'm not, mind you, online gaming is different, but I'm not going to go to PAX to play Hyper Light Drifter co-op with someone or like a multiplayer game with someone. I'm going there to scout out brand new games to be excited about.
Right, and I think it's a little different with board games you can't play online. You know, like you could play a lot of video games online, so your co-op partner doesn't have to be there with you. You know, like board games are let's get together and play. And until Tabletop Simulator really takes off and a lot more people are making games for it, developing for it, where it's going to be more of a social experience where I'm going to someone's house.
Yeah, which is the way to do it anyway, to be honest. That's how you want to do it. Speaking of that, real quick, they just announced Catan VR. That is a thing. That sounds like that could be really fun to play. I played it one time. And I did pretty bad, but I feel like that could be fun. Even in any VR setting, if you were sitting around a table with avatars and hands and stuff, that would be fun to do. But yeah, I mean, everybody's going to something like that for a different reason, and there's no way to, you know, you're not gonna be a person who's coordinating PAX Unplugged and tell people, well, this isn't why, like, don't buy tickets. Because
no, you can't. It's not fair.
You're not gonna come here. But it is good that they had a place for people to do that as well.
Absolutely, it was good because it kept them off the floor. You know, it kept those people off the floor, so now we could play. We could do what we wanted to do. You know, I mean, there was people on the forums that didn't even walk the floor. They just said they went to looking for group, or they were there just for tournaments. You know, to play games. Wow. You know,
well, that I understand. That you know, going just for a tournament.
Right.
That's like a big event for somebody. You know what I mean?
And that's cool if they keep the price of this PAX Unplugged to $25. So that's cheap. Not bad. I mean, if you're going to charge me PAX East, PAX West prices to play tournaments and board games, it's not worth it if you ask me.
No, you can't. $20? That's so cheap, man. Like that's but that's worth it in that case, right? Going for LFG, absolutely. $20? Like who cares? What's $20? Yeah, I didn't know it was that cheap. That's awesome.
I mean, it turns into more because you have, you know, if you're staying over for the hotel, the parking, all that other stuff. Right. But $20 to $25 to get in, it's not bad.
Yeah.
From 10 to midnight to play board games all day long. We did not stay. We left a little after 6 because we weren't interested, or at least I don't think Corey, we were at it like after 6, right? We had no interest after the floor closed.
Yeah, because I didn't bring any games with me. You know, I asked if I should bring a game for us to play, and we could have. We absolutely definitely could have. And it would have been cool. But we can do that back home, you know. So we were able to then go out and experience Philly, and we got to go out and have dinner. So I thought that was great as well.
Yeah. Like we didn't do any of the panels. I'm not interested in panels, so I don't want to do them. The theater was in the same expo hall in the back, so that was like the larger area where they had the sit down, shut up. I think Dice Tower was back there too, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely would have liked to have seen either one of those, but you know, they're also up, you know, on YouTube. They can discussions as well. You know, in general for Hit Points Gaming, I think next year we definitely need to branch out more. You know, make more of an impact. We did have our first fan come up and greet us.
Oh man, that's so
while we were there, and that basically made the trip. I know for me, you know, we're there here playing Mad King Ludwig, and this guy comes up and he's like, "Hey, are you guys on YouTube?" And we're like, "Yeah."
That's so awesome, dude.
I seen you guys on playing Seafall, right? The one game that's like not many people watch, and it's like, that's awesome. He's like, "Can I take a picture?" Like, sure. And we felt like board game celebrities,
rock stars at that point.
It was awesome, and that was just us, you know, not really doing anything. He just came up to us. So if we went around as a group, you know, if we had 4 or 5 people there from Hit Points Gaming, we all had a t-shirt. You know, we actually interviewed people that are high up in the board game industry,
for real,
and just got their point of views and like how they were successful. I think that is the next step to take our channel.
Okay.
And that's why I will definitely go back next year to do that.
They've got I saw a few people doing interviews with their phones, and they have mics, you know, a full blown microphone that somebody's holding, and the other person is recording with their cell phones, and you can do that kind of stuff now. And I think that's probably the best way to do it. I know, Chris, I think you have a beast camera, so we'll probably use that anyway.
Yeah, we have a couple of GoPros and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The one, the one thing I was gonna say is I don't know if they had booths. Like, did they just have booths that weren't for games? Like, PAX or any convention, there's just booths of guys who are a company doing whatever it is that
Absolutely.
Do.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know what kind of expense a booth is at PAX, but maybe
Money.
1 year we'll get.
Oh yeah. No.
Yeah.
They're
Money,
cheap. They're
yeah.
cheap. They're cheap.
They're cheap.
They're very cheap. Yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't want.
I've
We don't
heard
need to
they're
talk about it here.
expensive.
Right,
No,
right, right.
they're really cheap.
Okay. So I'm thinking 1 year, maybe at some point we'll have ourselves a PAX Unplugged booth. I think that'd be awesome, and we can just be there streaming, playing games, and sending people out for interviews and blah blah blah. And I think that'd be kind of cool. But I'm definitely interested. Yeah. in
It was a
interviewing people.
good experience. I would definitely go back. I think Philly is a really good spot to have it. There's a lot to go on in the town. If we did stay overnight, for the weekend, you're in Chinatown. Like, if you're not into that kind of food, then you're gonna have a problem. But we are, so it was a really cool experience. The food was good. If we did stay, like I said, over the weekend, we would have had a great time, walking around. And Chinatown's cheap, like food's really inexpensive there, and it's good. So
yeah,
you can have a good dinner, good lunch.
That's awesome to hear. You guys have any closing thoughts on PAX Unplugged? Corey, you have anything you'd like to say?
Nope, I definitely covered all of my points.
Okay. And what about you, Chris?
No, I think that's it. It was a good time. We've got it all covered, I hope.
Awesome. Well, thank you, folks, for listening to our discussion and talk about PAX Unplugged, as well as a piece of a discussion about Star Wars Battlefront 2. Make sure you guys check out all the latest videos and our PAX Unplugged walkthrough on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/HitPointsGaming. And also make sure that you check us out on Spreaker. The Filling the Void podcast network is where you'll be able to download this. We'll have a link below. And I hope everyone has a wonderful day, evening, night, wherever it is, and whatever it is for you. You guys take it easy.